back to that speed, accuracy, and transparency. Every quote, every proposal can be accurate as to credit. It's a much faster experience for the consumer, much better customer experience.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of The Drive. I am here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it is hot. But hey, I got two really cool dudes in a car, both wearing orange. We're driving an orange car. We're wearing orange shirts. I have the one, the only. I have John with 700 credit. John, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Just having a great time today.
Hey, I am so glad that we got the opportunity to connect and go for a drive. And man, whenever I get to talk about credit, I love talking about it. Like, it's one of my favorite subjects up there, right next to fixed ops. It's one of my favorite ones. So I am really glad that we get to have some cool in-depth conversation just about credit processes, strategies, the whole nine. But hey, before we get into those, I like kicking off these podcasts with a little origin story.
Okay.
You know, because I don't think anybody just wakes up one day and goes, yeah, I'm going to spend a lifelong career in the automotive industry. So if you don't mind, let's kick it off there. How did you get started in the automotive industry?
Well, I have been in it lifelong, and I started out right out of college working for the manufacturers, selling cars to dealers, wholesale, if you will,
Okay.
and had several different field sales jobs. Then I went into the retail business, and I ran car dealerships. And for my money, that's the most fun you can have working. And that's my favorite of all time. And I ran car dealerships for about 10 years. And at that point, then I became a auto dealership broker. So just as a realtor would list and sell your house, I listed and sold car dealerships. Loved it. Had a great time. Then, like, the crash happened, and GM went bankrupt, and so that business, I mean, who was buying car dealerships? And if you did buy one, what were you supposed to pay for it?
Yeah.
And so for the last 12 plus years, I've been selling credit data, compliance solutions, and related products to car dealers with 700 credit, and just really enjoying that.
See, it's one of those businesses. Once it gets in your blood, you can't get it out.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter. You can go from the OEM side, you go to the dealer side, you go to the dealer selling consulting side, and then over here to you can't get it out. It's
right. And it's also, who do you know, right? I mean, I know people from the first stop or two, right, that are still friends today.
It's the best relationships, right? That's one thing I do love about this industry. It's a big industry, but it's a small industry. And the connections and networking and the people you meet and those relationships, they can be lifelong. Like, it's just, and it's so cool. That's what I love about it. Okay, so let's get into 700 credit, because I am sure that almost everybody listening or watching this podcast right now has at least heard of that name, or maybe seen the little logo on their CRM at some point, you know. But let's do this. 700 credit, what was kind of that aha moment, like, hey, this is a problem and this is how we're going to kind of go set out to solve it? What was that first?
Sure. Well, so 700 credit is core product is credit reports and the compliance that goes with that. So, you know, today's dealer, and always has been this way, their gross profit depends not on what they sell, but what they can deliver.
Yes.
So they have to be really good at indirect financing, and they need credit data so that they can see what that customer is credit-wise, just exactly as their lender is looking at that customer.
Yes.
So, you know, lender relationships are absolutely critical. The dealer has to foster those and nourish those. And so lenders kind of live and die by book to look. They want the dealer to send them applications, not necessarily automatic approvals or anything like that, but they want that customer to fit in their lending guidelines. So just at least have a crack at it, right?
A little sneak peek.
That's right. So, you know, some lenders price for the prime customer, low risk, low reward type thing, fantastic rates. Some lenders don't really even want that business. They want the maybe edgier customer with a little bit of credit issues, and their product is priced accordingly. So a little bit high risk, high reward. And so each lender has their kind of profile of what they're looking for, and the smart dealer really is tuned to that and tries to send those applications where they have not only the highest probability of success getting approved, but also the profit picture that they know that
Yes.
lender's situation in terms of like reserve and what have you, and so they want to marry that up. And how do you do it? You have to do that with intelligent data.
Well, you want to go into it knowing something, and you need a little information. Look, here's the one thing I love about the F&I portion, the financing portion of our business. It is still an art form.
It really is.
You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking, like, when I was an F&I manager, what made me successful was all of the data that I knew about the lenders I was working with.
Right.
And I knew which one was looking for this, and I kind of knew which one was looking for that, but like, I would love to say I had a great data set to kind of steer me in the right direction, but I didn't. And then a lot of the times it was off my gut feeling.
Right.
Now here you guys come in, all right, and it's like, no, let me help you with that process and just really kind of streamline it.
100%.
Now, and I can see how much that can really, really impact the industry. And like the credit part of buying a car is still, I think today, no matter who you are, the most stressful part of that, right?
Yeah, I think for the consumer.
Right, for it is. For a consumer, I think it is. And also, I think for a dealer, it's the biggest opportunity. And if we don't have the right tools, we don't have the right data in front of us, we're making decisions off of our gut feeling. And so okay, so let's talk. Let's go into, because you guys have several different offerings. Let's go a little more in depth to just kind of like, how does a dealer currently utilize 700, and where are some of the additional opportunities?
Sure. So when you pull credit, you're bound by FCRA, Federal Credit Reporting Act, FTC, to complete certain compliance obligations, and you and I know that as red flag, identity verification, adverse action. And so what our customers and our partners will tell us is that we have the most automated process in the business. And that's real important for the dealer, because the dealer today not only needs to do the right thing when it comes to credit compliance, but they have to prove that they did the right thing.
Yes.
They have to have a monitoring component to their red flag program. They have to have an audit component. And so the dealer doesn't wake up in the morning trying to figure out, how do I dot my I's and cross my T's today? They want to wake up in the morning thinking, how do I sell cars today and how do I make money?
And that's what's important, right?
They need to have that automation. And what does the dealer want to do? Do they want to trust old Joe in the finance office to make sure that they do everything right? Or do they want to have technology take care of it? And that's what we offer to the dealer, both in our portal and also from within well over now 200 different dealer service providers. So if you're a DMS, we have the integration. If you have this a CRM, we have the integration, a desking tool, today digital retailing tools. As I say, 200 plus different providers that the dealer, no matter what process they prefer in their store, we're going to be able to help them out with that.
Well, and it's all about speed. Look, when that customer says yes, like, it's go time, baby. Like, you got to be ready.
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to like when, I first started selling cars, customer said yes, and I was like, whoa, hold on. All right, let me go get 2-3 sheets of paperwork. We got to fill these things out, and we got to do all this stuff. It's just you're going on this tremendous high, note, right? Like, I come off the test drive, I'm so excited. Yes, Jason, sell me this car. And I have to say, put the brakes on and stop. And, this is what I love about the process you guys bring here, is that a lot of this can be done before that stage. So, it's speed to deal. Would you not say?
Absolutely. And, since you and I were selling cars, it's more so that way. Today's consumer they demand speed, accuracy, and transparency. And so that's what's kind of evolved in one of our key products is the soft pull credit request. And so, if you're a consumer, if that dealer doesn't provide you that speed, accuracy, and transparency, you're not even going to give that dealer a second chance today. You're just going to move on and find somebody who will.
100%. And then what's the worst case scenario is going to happen is that you're going to get me excited on this car. You never pulled a soft pull, so you don't really kind of get a ballpark idea where I sit. I say yes. Then we go through another 30-minute process, and then you come out and tell me no, but I'll give you yes to that. And then we have to start this whole emotional cycle all over again. I mean, it just creates for a horror. I mean, that's what I remember happening.
There's no good way to unwind anything. And so from a customer experience point of view, the customer correctly wants to know what's my payment, or perhaps can you get me finance? Can you offer me some financing? So, I wish the dealer a lot of luck, because what are you supposed to do? Get into an arm wrestling match about give me your social security number? The consumer doesn't want that.
No.
Or, fill out this big honking 4-page credit app. I'm just trying to figure out what color I want, but I do want to know what's my payment. So
qualify. I want to be qualified. Give me qualifications.
Pre-qual is the answer. And so with just name and address, no personal information, the dealer can receive a full credit file.
Yes.
As well as a live FICO score. So now, again, back to that speed, accuracy, and transparency. Every quote, every proposal can be accurate as to credit. It's a much faster experience for the consumer, much better customer experience.
Well, it all comes down to the experience. It really, fundamentally, everything comes down to the experience. So here's the one thing that I love about the experience. An experience happens regardless if you're intentional about it or not, right?
No doubt.
I've done dealer consulting for many, many years. One of the first things I go do is I want to know what their customers say about them, and I will go read their Google reviews. And one of the most commonly used word in all of those reviews is experience. Good or bad, it is used there. But if we're not intentional about that experience, the experience is going to happen regardless. And here's the thing that I have found that makes and breaks that experience is never something big. You know what? Because if it was something big, we'd probably, I'll fix that. It's always something small.
Makes all the difference.
And if to speed, all of a sudden I'm like, yes, I want it. Give it to me. I need it now. And all of a sudden it's another 2 hours and we got to go back and forth. That car's not qualified, so I got to flip back over here. You're destroying that experience. But I want to get a little bit into kind of the process side of it, because you mentioned about that. Because our industry, for me, I have found a good dealer is made up of three core things: people, process, and technology. And I find that the best dealers out there have those three really balanced. And you've been in the business for a long time, so you've seen the good, bad, and the ugly, not just the movie, which is a great movie, by the way, phenomenal. What are you seeing out there that is just like good, bad, ugly when it comes to kind of that combination of people, process, and technology?
Well, so getting all the information up front and it used to be that dealer service providers would concern themselves with, how do I marry the in-store experience with the online experience?
Connecting, yeah.
And the answer is you don't. You have one experience, right? Everything's the online experience, whether you happen to be physically in the dealership or not. And so everything has really been designed to provide speed to the consumer, speed, accuracy, and transparency once again. And so, for example, dealers are experiencing fraud today, and they have to deal with that. And their cyber policies don't cover, a bad guy trying to create a loan that they have no intention of paying for. Dealers definitely have claims on that today. So cyber doesn't cover it. Their inventory policies don't cover it. So
just identity verification.
So what we're offering today is real driver's license, government ID scanning, and that becomes critical because of the dealer safeguards rule. No longer is it compliant for your salesperson to ask you to take a picture of front and back and text them. Everything has to be done now with a secure interface.
Yes.
And so our scanning product is really coming on, and we actually ping the state DMV, so we know that it's a good license. We can tell if if the scan is a picture of a picture. The bad guys.
Gotcha. Yeah, because they're getting smart.
The bad guys are pretty good at those type of loopholes, but the technology that we're offering today stays ahead of that. So, when the dealer has all of that up front, then everything goes smooth from there, and it just saves a whole lot of time. And to your point, you just can't go bring that customer backwards.
No.
If you've made assumptions off of insufficient data, like you said, when you were winging it, you were pretty good at winging it. Yeah. But having that data makes all
that would be a world of difference. I'd be an animal. I mean, I was a great finance manager. I know I'm not too much, but I was good at it. I was just naturally good at it. Right. I can't imagine if I had tools like this. But I do want to go talk a little bit about that identity resolution, the identity verification, because I think for anybody out there watching, listening right now, if you are responsible, and this is not just a compliancy thing, and I love how John is describing it because it is a compliancy thing, but I'm going to share a story, and I shared the story recently here on social media, where 2.5 years into selling cars for myself, all right, I had a gentleman come in, well-dressed, business casual, got talking about how he had just moved to the area and was working for one of the large corporations I was very familiar with in the area and stuff, and he wanted to take this Lincoln Navigator that we had on the lot for a test drive. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary in any way or form about this. Well, we got probably about 10 miles away from the dealership, up onto the highway, and then we're just kind of driving along, just got off onto the ramp pretty much, and he started to pull over, and I was like, oh, is there something wrong? I thought maybe we popped a tire or something like that. Came to a complete stop. He looked me dead straight in the face and said, I have a gun, you need to get out.
I was hoping that wasn't the direction that was going, but I kind of thought it was.
It did, and I mean, John, I'm going to tell you right now, I complied. There was no argument from me whatsoever. Right. I didn't ask to see yet said gun. Right. I just got out of the car, and here was also a time that cell phones were necessarily a real big thing, and I didn't have one, and if I did, I probably left it at the dealership because you just didn't carry it with you all the time at that point in time. And I'm 10 miles from the dealership on a highway that people just ripping by me at like 85 miles an hour, and I am thumbing it, all right, to try to get back
besides
to the dealership.
Your heart is palpitating.
Oh my gosh, I was like, I just couldn't. So the reason I share this story is because this is a real thing, and I know we're talking about it from the compliancy perspective, but I think it goes beyond that. If you're watching, listening out there, and you're responsible for your team, this is a mandatory. This is not, I don't even think this is something as a good idea. You need to have a solution like this inside your dealership. I'm even talking about it still gets me a little.
Well, compliancy maybe isn't the sexiest topic in the world, but that's the world that the dealer lives in, and the legal side of things are kind of looking at car dealers and singling them out. So you don't really have a choice yet. You have to make sure that you're not at risk there.
No. This is all about protecting yourself, but also protecting us. And again, this goes into a good experience. Okay, so perfect. For stage one, I know that the person I'm talking to is a legitimate person I'm talking to. Now I can go get a soft pull. Now I can actually start creating, let's call it a credit strategy to the way I'm going to present. Because maybe at this point, I know that they submitted a lead on a $100,000 $2,500 pickup, but I can tell by the soft pull that may not necessarily be in it. So what can what can dealers do strategically when they are able to kind of receive this data, and what are some of the best practices you've seen?
Well, the dealer is pretty good at that, so all you have to do is load them up with the facts, and they've got the skills to move that customer around in terms of what they can qualify for, but the key is to know exactly what is the situation. So there isn't really a magic bullet or anything like that. It's just being able to load them up with the information that they need early with a great customer experience.
100%. And again, it all kind of comes back to that experience. Now, and that does, I think credit can also affect multiple aspects of the experience. And I'm sure you've seen dealers that have utilized this information in some really, really positive ways, and you even start using it in their marketing messages. I've seen that become very popular. What are some of the best practices you've seen kind of utilizing your kind of technology, in some of their marketing practices?
Well, might be a little bit of a surprise, but what dealers are doing at a very high level of success is turning the service lane into a selling lane. So the conversation becomes, Mr. Customer, I see you're in here for your 30,000 mile service. That's great. That's going to be about $400. Mm-hmm. Why don't I pay for that and you don't? And what if I could move you up to a 2-year newer car for about the same money as what you're paying today? Would that be of interest to you?
Yes.
And you can make that proposal if you have confidence that you can back it up. And the only way to do that is to have credit information early. So we have a pre-screen product that enables that type of a conversation.
So outside of the pre-qual, the pre-screen, the identity, confirmation, any other additional tools that are in your guys' arsenal that dealerships need to be aware of, right?
Now we're getting into the future. And of course, like most things, right, the future is now. Yes. Okay, so because of what your listeners are very well aware of, the dealer safeguard rule that really came into focus last June 9th was like the drop dead date, et cetera. So all the rules have changed. The dealers have to comply with certain guidelines, and they have a very highly defined responsibility. What am I doing with that NPPI, that non-public personal information? Yes. And how they used to handle it is patently non-compliant now, and they have to respond to that. So what we think is the future is that anything to do with non-public personal information, so that's certainly not...
Give some examples, because maybe the audience may not know exactly what that is.
So that would be the credit app. That would be the consent for the credit app. That would be the credit report. That would be the adverse action letter. That would be the risk-based pricing letter. You know, it doesn't have, it doesn't constitute everything in that digital deal.
But it's that for the dealers out there watching that may still be using handwritten credit apps, that's what we're talking about. That's part of it.
And in the future, everything that has to do with consumers' information is going to be done through a secure interface, and it's going to go immediately into an electronic deal jacket. And that seems like, Star Wars and stuff like that, but, that is happening right now. We're working as hard as we know how to work to complete pushing that information into Dealertrack's deal jacket, Route 1's deal jacket, CDK's, Reynolds and Reynolds. We're in production today with a third party called OneView that has that product.
And that is the future kind of automotive. I mean, think about I'm thinking of deal jackets,
Right.
Yeah. They were this thick at one point, and I remember
you store them in the back of the parts department.
And you had to store so many years of it, and then every once in a while there'd be a monster commercial shredder that would have to come by and supposedly shred all of this stuff. I don't know if I actually physically ever went out there and watched them shred all this stuff, but that's not good enough anymore.
Well, that's the direction that the industry is going for sure, and the early adopters are beginning to do it today, and it won't be too long before we're all doing it that way.
And I can definitely see why you guys are leading in that direction for sure. Hey, John, I know we're towards the tail end of our conversation, and man, I love talking credit with you. I can do this all day long. But before I let you go, for everybody out there watching and listening right now who would love to kind of learn more, maybe connect and find out, more about this amazing set of products you guys have, what's the best way to connect with you?
Well, you can certainly contact me directly. So that's JWARNER, so jwarner@700credit.com. And my direct line is 248-327-3800. Certainly you can find us on the web, and we make it pretty easy to get found, right?
Yeah. It is. It's very easy to search, you guys. John, man, again, thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me.
My pleasure, Jim.
I'm loving the orange, man. This was like...
It's an orange sort of a day.
We didn't call each other, we promise. We didn't. Right. This wasn't planned.
There was no memo.
Just... John, thanks, man. This has been a blast. Hey, for everybody out there watching and listening, you got to check out John and 700 Credit. You guys have yourself an amazing day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.